So let us begin and let us start here in Indiana. And, in a way, I wanted to begin this week on a sort of related similar note because we're seeing in the aftermath of this Kirk assassination a lot of vitriol online. And it is interesting that this same week, Axios Indy, in conjunction with Chalkbeat Indiana, reported a story about youth gun violence in Indianapolis and how social media played a huge part in like a third of those cases. So, again, this is from Axios. Since 2020, nearly 200 kids have been shot and killed in Indianapolis. Since 2018, over a third of those homicides involving Indianapolis youth, for which prosecutors have brought charges, have involved social media use, according to Marion County Court documents. So the way they explain this in the article, they say platforms like Instagram and others can expose vulnerable youth to a false reality where violence is typical. Students and experts say it can also amplify pre-existing drama between students before an audience of their peers, both during and outside of school hours. Chris, now you're not in Indianapolis. You're not shooting up people in the streets, to my knowledge.
No,
but
no.
Does this sort of comport with the way your peers see things, that social media kind of gives you a warped sense of what things are really like out there in the world?
Yeah, I definitely think I see it, not just with my friends, but on my own social media pages and my own TikTok and Instagram Reel algorithms. Like, we've been so desensitized to violence in general that, I could open up my Instagram Reels right now and I could swipe through and I could find somebody getting hit by a car or somebody being shot. And that's just becoming, they're real things that happen in our world, but they're just becoming so much more normal for us to see. And I think it's so sad because it takes out all of the human aspects to just genuine humanity in general and allows us to pick up our phones and go and see some random acts of violence and not be so affected by it because we see it so often. And I think the more that we feed into that, the more that we see these things on social media, the more desensitized we will continue to be to these things. And when we do see true violence, we're not going to be able to know how to react to it because it's so normal to us already.
Yeah, 100%. Later in this article, they do go on to explain that there are effective strategies to kind of combat youth violence that social media is exacerbating. However, some of the techniques are like emotional learning in school, which Indiana lawmakers have moved away from. They want teachers to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, and not all that, learning how to be a person navigating the world, as well as things like school counselors. Again, Indiana is one of the worst states in the country for access to mental health resources in schools, as well as things like gun safety, which again we have not done anything about here in Indiana recently. D, do you see any of that stuff changing in response to things like this report, or like our legislators seeing people they respect killed in acts of gun violence?
Scott, I would say no, because I think, depending upon how things are framed, that the actual results will be more division and not more coming together. You have to rebuild societal norms in order to make political violence or any kind of violence once again seem aberrant and not normal. And we're not doing that work. All we're doing is arguing about whatever red meat is thrown at us that day to argue about, and thereby degrading those cultural norms and not bringing them, building them back up. So I don't see it getting any better until leaders stop pushing divisive words and people on television stop saying we should kill homeless people, for example, that will get us nowhere real fast.